My name is Jillian, and I am very close to my family, always helping my loved ones, especially when Samantha faced difficulties in life after her divorce. I decided to support my sister Samantha through this tough time, especially when it came to taking care of the kids. After Samantha found out that her husband, Mark, was cheating, she went through a huge shock. It wasn't just the pain of betrayal, but also the sudden change in both her life and the lives of her two children. Mark decided to leave the family, leaving Samantha to face everything on her own. I remember clearly the day Samantha called me, her voice choked with tears, unable to hold back the pain. She said, "Jill, I don't know what to do anymore. Mark is gone. I'm left with the kids, and I don't know how to manage." My first feeling was helplessness. Samantha is my sister, someone I always saw as strong, resilient, and capable of solving any problem. But this time, I saw her collapse, not knowing where to start. At that moment, I understood that no matter how difficult it was, I couldn't stand aside. She's family, and family should help each other. I did everything I could to help. We started with simple things, like assisting with the daily living expenses. I helped Samantha pay part of the rent so she didn't have to worry about finances. Seeing Samantha with red eyes from crying but breathing a sigh of relief because she didn't have to worry about the bills made me feel that all my efforts were worth it. Besides that, Ethan and Lucas were too young to fully understand what was happening, and I knew they needed an adult to stabilize their lives. Every day after work, I would pick up the kids, take them home, help them with homework, and feed them. However, my help didn't stop at financial support and taking care of the kids. I also offered to assist Samantha whenever she needed. I work in marketing, but seeing her smile when I said I would help her take the kids out or visit the doctor made me realize that my actions weren't just about giving help. They were a way to express my love and our bond during such a difficult time. I knew that what I was doing couldn't erase Samantha's pain, but at least I hoped it would help her feel less alone and anxious. Changes started happening when Samantha began to contact me less and started arriving later when picking up the kids. At first, I thought she was just too tired and stressed from handling everything on her own. But gradually, the change became more noticeable. She often arrived late, sometimes 15 minutes, then 30 minutes, and even up to an hour. At first, I thought maybe she was under a lot of pressure from work, but I started paying more attention. Samantha no longer informed me about any changes, and when I called to check on her, she would give short answers like, "I'm a little busy, I'll be there soon." The sense of unease from these rushed words made me start to realize that something was wrong. Then, I happened to see Samantha having dinner with a man I had never met. She looked happy and relaxed, but she never mentioned anything about this relationship. At that moment, I wasn't angry, but I did feel a bit uncomfortable. I understood that after the months of sadness from her broken marriage, Samantha needed to find happiness again, but she hid it from me. It felt like I wasn't the person she trusted anymore to share these things with. That made me feel sad and somewhat disappointed. As time passed, Samantha started breaking her promises. She didn't show up to pick up the kids as promised and didn't contact me when she couldn't arrive on time. This made me feel like I was being taken advantage of, and more than that, I no longer felt like I was an important part of her life. Over time, I began to realize I was at a crossroads in my relationship with Samantha. Although I had done everything I could to support her, I felt increasingly taken advantage of. We used to be family, but now it felt like I was just a substitute when she didn't have time. Her calls for help seemed to become a routine, and whenever she needed something, I had to rearrange my own life. I had helped so much, from paying part of the rent, taking care of the kids, to handling the housework, but I never received the appreciation I deserved. One weekend afternoon, while I was busy with work, I received a sudden call from Ethan. The boy said on the phone, sounding worried, "Aunt Jillian, Mom said to call you to pick us up, but we're at the mall. She said you'd come." I felt a surge of anger rise inside me, but I couldn't do anything when Samantha once again abandoned the kids without notifying me. She left the two children at the mall without considering that I was dealing with an important project at work. My heart ached from Samantha's carelessness, but more than anything, I felt used. When I arrived, I saw Ethan and Lucas sitting quietly at a table, eating fast food that the kids probably didn't really like. Both of them were silent, their eyes seemed tired, as if they didn't understand why their mom had left them here alone. They looked so small and vulnerable while I stood there, both angry and helpless. I couldn't stop thinking about the times before when I was always ready to help whenever Samantha needed me. At that moment, I realized that I couldn't keep going like this. It was time for me to set boundaries for myself. I couldn't continue being the unconditional caretaker for the kids, especially when Samantha no longer respected me like she used to. She seemed to forget that I also have my own life, a job, and responsibilities. I couldn't be someone she relied on forever. I decided I would no longer let myself be dragged into these situations. I needed to focus on myself and set clear boundaries, because if I didn't, I would be consumed by the selfishness of my own family. After being taken advantage of and not being respected, I knew I had to change. The exhaustion and frustration made me realize that I couldn't keep living for the needs of others while neglecting myself. I couldn't continue being the only one who worried and rearranged my life every time Samantha needed help. She is my sister, but I am also an individual who has the right to live for myself, to enjoy the joys and freedoms just like anyone else. I began to set boundaries for myself. I couldn't keep being the helper without any consideration or appreciation from Samantha. The next time she called me asking for help with picking up the kids or preparing food, I told her straight out that I couldn't help. I need time for myself. I can't keep being the one to take care of the kids like this, I said firmly. For the first time, I felt like I was saying what I truly wanted and needed. Making that decision wasn't easy. It was a struggle with myself, with feelings of guilt and worry that I might hurt her. Deep down, I knew I couldn't keep sacrificing my life for the comfort of others. I needed to change the way I lived, because only when I'm happy can I sustainably support my family. I began to participate in activities I had long forgotten. I signed up for a kickboxing class, something I had always wanted to try but never had the time for. Each training session felt satisfying, a moment I could dedicate to myself without worrying about work or family. Then, I met Jason. He was the trainer in the kickboxing class, and we started chatting after each session. He always listened and shared his thoughts sincerely. We had fun dates, simple meals filled with laughter. This relationship wasn't something I planned, but it brought me great joy and helped me experience real love and care. No longer worried about constantly meeting others' needs, I began living life my way. The freedom to do what I wanted made me realize how beautiful and precious life truly is. When I decided to stop helping unconditionally, it was difficult, but necessary. I couldn't keep living just for my sister's demands without receiving respect in return. The last time Samantha talked about the trip to Hawaii and expected me to pay for her whole family, I knew I had reached my limit. "Samantha, that's my trip with Jason, not a trip for the whole family, I said decisively. Don't think I'll pay for this trip. Anger and disappointment rose up, but I couldn't continue to let myself be used. I didn't want to feel like I had to do this just because I was the only one who could. From that moment on, I cut off unconditional support. I had spent months working, taking care of the kids, paying rent, and helping in every way. But at this point, I realized I had lost too much, not just time and money, but also my health. It was time for me to protect myself. Only I could decide what I wanted, not always being the one to sacrifice for others. Though it was tense, my family began to realize the importance of respecting each other's boundaries. My mother was the first to speak up, gently saying, "Jillian, you've helped so much already, but don't forget that you need to take care of yourself too." Her words were like a wake-up call. My father also began to rethink how he handled things, not just with Samantha, but with me. They gradually understood that I couldn't be the one to carry all the responsibilities in the family. As for Samantha, although she was initially upset and disagreed, she gradually started to change. Part of it was because she realized I wasn't willing to do her part for her anymore, and also because she realized that she needed to be more independent. She began taking care of the kids, managing her work, and learning to handle her life without relying on me. Although this didn't change immediately, I could see her efforts. She started returning to work, taking responsibility for finances, and occasionally invited me out for coffee, as a way to make up for what had happened. Although things weren't perfect yet, at least my family had started to understand and respect each other. The boundaries I set not only helped protect myself but also helped Samantha become stronger and more independent. I know that our relationship will never be the same as before, but at least now, I feel like I can live true to myself, without carrying the weight of everything. After everything I've been through, I realize an important lesson I had overlooked for so long. In order to love my family, I also need to love myself. Over the years, I've spent too much time and energy on those around me, forgetting to take care of myself. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary to protect my mental and physical health while keeping relationships healthy and sustainable. Now, my life has changed. I've become a better sister and partner. I've learned to love myself, to appreciate my time, and not be afraid to set boundaries when needed. This has not only helped me live a more balanced life but has also made me stronger and more confident in myself. In the end, I feel content with the decisions I've made. I no longer live for the expectations of others, but have learned to live for myself. I'm more confident about the future because I know I've chosen the right path, a path that brings peace and happiness to myself and my family. Thank you all for following my story this far. If you found this story helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, and share so we can all learn and grow together. Leave your thoughts or questions in the comments. I would love to listen and share more with you. Thank you so much. Wishing you all strength and happiness.